Ivies by Alexa Donne was a thrilling read that gripped my heart and wouldn't let go until I'd turned the last page. Hello, my writing pals and my reading pals. It's me, your girl Xanna, and today I am coming at you with a book review for The Ivies by Alexa Donne. I am part of the Turn the Page book tour, so hello to anyone who's come here because of that. I hope that you stick around. I think we have a pretty fun time around here. We're all pals. You're all my pals. First things first is that I would like to put out that I believe that there is a content warning for The Ivies by Alexa Donne. As it is a thriller, there is a murder, so that's one thing. I don't really think that's much of a content warning, but just so you know, there is murder and an investigation of a murder in this book. There is lots of underage drinking going on in this book, and there is mentions of sexual relations. Nothing is explicit. Have no worries there. It is just made mention of. Those things aside, I think The Ivies was a really great book. And just so you know, there is also a giveaway going on. It is running from May 23rd to May 30th. It closes at 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, and the link to the giveaway will be in the description box down below. So definitely go check that out if you want to win a copy of The Ivies for yourself. So without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, what is The Ivies? The Ivies is a young adult contemporary thriller written by Alexa Donne, set in a private academy where things are just so perfect that it feels a little bit wrong. And then things do go wrong the day after early decision day. Someone winds up dead. Now, for the sake of this video, I am not going to be revealing who it is that dies and who is the murderer. I think that that's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun reading that, and I wouldn't want to take that fun away from someone, because one of the best things about this book is the tension and the tension that builds, especially the tension in the first couple of pages as you're reading and as it builds up to the murder. I thought that that was so wonderfully done, and I want everyone to experience that. So I've made mention of Harvard, so that alludes to the Ivies. Those are the Ivy League colleges in the United States. But more importantly to the book are the Ivies. This is a group of 5 girls at Claflin Academy who make it their life's mission to disrupt class rankings and throw people under the bus and do all sorts of horrible, nasty things to make sure that they get into the Ivy League that is assigned to them by the leader of the Ivies, Avery. So Avery is our Harvard. She is the one who is supposed to apply to Harvard, who's supposed to go to Harvard, like a 3rd generation Harvard, and she doesn't get in. But our main character, Olivia, does. And I think that is something that's really neat, because I remember reading chapter 1 and just going through and being like, oh, like there's a lot of talk about like where she was supposed to apply and her feelings about it, and oh, I have a feeling that something's just not right. And then you find out, oh, Olivia applied to Harvard, and Olivia wasn't supposed to apply to Harvard. And I think that was just so wonderfully done, that tension. And then throughout the rest of the book, Olivia is holding this secret in that she got into Harvard. Because as I said, after early decision day, when the early decisions for who colleges are letting in comes out, someone winds up dead. And Olivia fears that if she reveals that she also applied to Harvard, and moreover that she got into Harvard, that she might be next. The tension in this book is so wonderfully done. Alexa did such a good job of making sure that things that needed to be a 9 were up at the 9s, and that those 9s were strong and impactful, and that the rest of the book was a bit more mellowed out with the cool investigative stuff. I think it's really important to know when you're writing what needs to be a 9 and what doesn't need to be 9. Recently I've read a lot of things where everything was a 9. Everything was to the extremes and super dramatic, and everything mattered, and everything was so important and crazy, and it made it kind of dull. It made it boring. That doesn't happen in the Ivies. In the Ivies, you've got that whirlwind, that roller coaster of emotions, that grippingness, and it was so wonderful because you'd have those 9s, and then you'd have those moments of respite where you could relax until Alexa throws something else at you. And it was so well done. So as I've touched on, the plot of the story is someone gets murdered after early decision day, and Olivia is investigating the crap out of everyone, and she wonders if the tagline of the book is true about the Ivies. They'd kill to get in. Did the Ivies actually kill someone? Oh, it's so good, because not only is she questioning the Ivies, she's questioning other people at the school and other people who were at the school previously. And as she's just investigating, you uncover all of these different things, and it has me guessing, like, every single character. Like, a character would get cleared in my mind, and I'd be like, okay, there's no way that they could have done it. But then you'd find out something new, and you're like, oh, wait, that totally changes the game. Like, now that I totally did it. I will say, I did not guess who the murderer was. I feel a little bit sad about that. You know, it's my first thriller and things like that, and I didn't get it right. But it was still awesome either way. I've never read a thriller before. This is my first thriller, and boy, oh boy, this was so much fun. You could say it was thrilling. Hey, that's me all right. Other characters we meet on the way are the rest of the Ivies. We've got Avery, Sierra, Margaret, and Emma. Avery and Sierra are the ones that we have the most interactions with. Margaret and Emma we have less interactions with, personally with Olivia, but we're finding out just as much dirt on everyone. Have no worries there. There's so much drama in this book. I live for it. The Mean Girls vibe is just, ooh, I love it. Avery is our Harvard, and she does not get into Harvard. She is our Little Miss Perfect, the leader of the pack. The rest of the Ivies are very similar, kind of rich, snobbish girls, all in their own unique way. They all feel like separate characters, which is really nice, because sometimes you read books and the bad guys, quote unquote, I did the air quotes, why did I do that? All feel like they're the exact same person, just split up into different characters, and you don't get that with the Ivies. Each character feels very unique. They feel intentional. They feel like they have purpose. They are wonderfully written, yo, let me tell you. Other characters we come across is we've got Ethan. Ethan is pretty fun. He's our sidekick. He's pretty fun. He also is under Olivia's scope a little bit, even though, you know, she has a bit of a crush on him. And I think that's really interesting because everyone falls under Olivia's inspection at one point or another. And it's interesting because the way that the characters act don't change. The characters themselves are very static, but it's just our perception of them that changes. So it's so interesting because Olivia's thought towards character A at the start of the book is one way. But as she learns more and more about them, she starts seeing that these traits aren't what she thought they were. And it's kind of confusing to say without giving perfect examples. Her eyes are opened. There we go, that's a good way to say it. Her eyes are open to the actions of these characters and what these actions actually mean and what they are actually doing. So as we're learning more about these characters, they're acting the exact same, but we're just perceiving it differently. And I think that's really neat. I think that's really well done, because usually in books I find with the bad guys or the friends or just any character is that as the book goes on and you learn more about them, that they start acting differently. But people don't necessarily change like that overnight or things like that, or in a couple week span, which is what the Ivies is set in. And I really like that Alexa was able to keep the characters consistent, and that, I don't know, I can't even really describe it that well. It's interesting. It's really good. You'll have to trust me on it. Don't worry. The characters were so amazing. Other characters that we see is we've got our detective. I loved the detective character. We don't have a lot of scenes with the detective character, but each scene that there is so hitting and so impactful, and ooh, it's so good. I really liked the characters in the Ivies. Let's move on to the setting and what I thought about the setting. I think the setting was very well done. I think it melded with the atmosphere of the book perfectly. So we've got this pristine, perfect private school that's so perfect that it just feels off. And I love that vibe that we learn that the school wants to keep its perfect, pristine image, but on the inside things are not as they seem. The first university I went to kind of had that vibe. I'll be honest, it's presented as a very really nice, perfect college in my area. It's one of the best colleges in the area that I live in across a couple of states, or so they claim, and have been ranked. But you get there and you just find out like all of these things that you just don't know as an outsider. And so I like that perspective of, from the outside the school looks perfect, but when you're actually inside of it, just the crazy things that happen. I felt like I was there. It felt very, very good. I think Alexa did a good job of describing the setting. The writing of the settings, I think, was really good. Me personally, I can always use more description of settings, so like what things smell like, or how the air feels, or things like that. But things like that aren't always necessary in every single scene. In fact, it can get annoying. I would have liked just a little bit more description, but as I said, as it stands, it was perfectly fine. Back to Olivia as a character, as our little sleuth. I think Olivia was a very, very well done character. I think her motives make sense, her actions make sense. She is a journalist, she wants to be a journalist, and so investigating this murder is really good, because she also realizes that because she's a part of the Ivies, that she is a suspect in the official investigation done by the pros. So we've got her kind of being under a microscope, and she's putting everyone else under a microscope. And Olivia doesn't do stupid things to move the plot along. This is something I talk about in almost every book review, is my pet peeve when reading is characters who do very out of character, random, stupid things to push the plot forward. I know that people make stupid choices every now and again, and that things just happen, but I get really annoyed when a character does something so out of left field just to push the plot forward, and that doesn't happen in this book. The plot of the Ivies flows very wonderfully. It flows very easily. You're able to move through the book without stumbling over things in the plot. Overall, I think it flowed very well. Olivia, as the main character, did a great job of driving the plot. You know, there are some books where the plot drives the character, and others where the character drives the plot. Both are fine. Both are perfectly fine ways to write. With the Ivies, we've got Olivia primarily pushing the plot forward. Sometimes the things, push Olivia forward, and I think we've got a really good balance of that in the Ivies. It was just a fantastic read, honestly. I really liked it. The tension was amazing. I don't think I can rant about how wonderful the tension was any more than I already have. I think the point has come across. The tension was phenomenal. The characters all felt like real individuals with their own motives and secrets, and it was so good, and this was a really, really good book. I think anyone who really likes thrillers would be more than happy to read the Ivies. I think the Ivies would be a great introduction into thrillers, and I'm not just saying that because this was my introduction into thrillers. That's totally not the reason. What are you talking about? Pshaw. That's crazy talk right there. That was my review of the... Whoa! Maestro. Hi. He was under the couch. Hi, baby. What's up? Those were my thoughts and my review of the Ivies. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. I usually upload videos once a week on Fridays about fun, bookish, and writing related things. You can also catch me on all of my socials. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at XannasBooks. And you can catch me on TikTok talking about all things D&D and fan fiction at Witch Dr. Xanna. I also have some fun projects coming up in the future. I have a short collection coming out later this year. I am in the beta reader stage, so if you are interested in beta reading, let me know. I have a form linked in the description down below where you can apply to be a beta reader. I also have a Patreon now, so check that out if you're interested. Check the Ivies out. Honestly, do it. There's a giveaway also linked in the description bar. But also, if you think this book sounds interesting or you are a fan of Alexa Donne, make sure that you pick up a copy. It is so, so important to be supporting the creators that you love. Go support Alexa. Go buy her book. Book sales, especially in the first couple weeks, are crazy important to authors. This is a very crucial time for anyone releasing a book, and I can tell that Alexa has put a lot of heart and soul into this book. It's a wonderful read, a wonderful introduction to thrillers. Again, this is my first thriller, so I'm just saying that because I think it's true. So it is true. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! I forgot to say how many stars I rated the Ivies. I would rate the Ivies 4.5 out of 5 stars. Go grab a copy.